And what's interesting about this book is this book says, if you find the secret to get rich, catch me if you can kind of vibe. The reason why I read this book or had the thought of I having to read this book was You Were Born Rich by Bob Proctor. I left some review of that seminar in my channel as well. You can go and watch it. In that seminar, in that video, Bob talked about how he got there. It all started when he first got suggested by Ray Stanford, and he said, Bob, you should read this book. And that book was Think and Grow Rich. He mentioned that he had only 2 months of high school. He was not doing great. He had nothing else to lose. So something came to him and he listened to that guy who suggested to read this book and do exactly what this book tells him to do, and he did, and he found himself a year later earning more than $1 million. That interests me. Maybe I didn't believe that this book will bring me $1 million, but I was really curious about what is this book all about and why is he keep talking about. And moreover, if this book changed Bob's life, which was not really better than my life in any way, and he suggested it changed his life and he showed the result and he continued that path till he passed. That made me wonder, like, what is this all about? And who doesn't want to be rich? I believe everyone wants to be better. By reading and watching and studying the materials, I realized wanting to be rich, wanting to have more and wanting to be more, wanting to do more is not a sin. I was thinking like having more and wanting to more is not being grateful. We should be grateful for what we have, which is true. We should be grateful for what we have, but we should be not satisfied. We should be keep improving. So I started to read this book. It's really small and compact, which is really good, and it's not that expensive. I don't know, when I got this book, I don't believe it was more than $10. It's about 200 pages, and it took me a week to go through the whole book. If I devoted my time like 10 hours a day, I would be able to go through it in like 3 days. I think I read book 1 or 2 hours at least every day. After high school, I never really sat down and read real book. So back to the book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. How and why Napoleon Hill wrote this book was request from Andrew Carnegie. Would you devote about 20 years of life and research and gather all the information from all the richest men in America? Because Andrew Carnegie thought there was something was really common that made people rich. Throughout this whole book, there's a lot of stories, real stories of people in the world succeeding in their own field. Many of them had less education than any of us. They didn't inherit, they're rich. And what's interesting about this book is this book says, if you find the secret to get rich and apply that to your life, you will be certain to be rich. He consciously hide, or at least didn't mention directly, because he wanted the readers to find the secret themselves and find the secret in their own words or in their own callings. And he mentioned you could find the secret in chapter 1 or the last page of the book. When you get it, do it. Essentially, the book is very repetitive. It has a chapter of thoughts are things, desire, fate, auto-suggestion, specialized knowledge, imagination, organized planning, decision, persistence. It contains like 13 principles of getting rich, but in my opinion, it's just a one principle explained in 13 different ways. In every chapter, there's like an instruction as to what to do when you don't know how to do. And even this book suggested if you don't follow any of these rules by the letter, you will not succeed, which it felt a little bit not friendly to me. Remember, I only read this once. It's really the first impression of me, but I did have little knowledge from watching Bob Proctor's videos. What this book brought to me was more understanding, as in where the Bob Proctors came from. I remember when I read this about 1/3, I was really positive and I was excited. It could really change my life. By the through halfway done, because I was kind of in a hurry, right? I wanted to finish this book as soon as I could and get the knowledge as fast as I can because I was really intrigued. Halfway done, I was like a little bit exhausted. To be honest, it was a little bit overwhelming to me, but I kept going, and by the time I finished the 7th day, which I kind of grasped the idea, and I think I know what the principle is, all the instruction and the discrimination that you should follow everything or else you fail. It doesn't really feel positive to me. I don't know, this book is mixed feeling for me. I know this is a good information. I do believe this logic is true. In my head it makes sense, but because Napoleon Hill suggested that you should do exactly 100% by the letter, that made me feel a little uncomfortable, right? That made me a little more like discouraged. Maybe I need to go through a little bit more. The most interesting part of this book was the mystery of sex transmutation. Sex is not really talked about in self-improvement videos or law of attraction videos. If you understand and apply how to transmute your sex desire to positive and more productive way, you will sure get to success. They say sex is very misunderstood. I realized I had the same idea. The way this book talks about sex and how to redirect the energy to do more productive way, and how this energy make people appear more vibrant and more energized and more relaxed and calm. That kind of all makes sense. Bob Proctor didn't touch on the sex transmutation in his seminar or any other videos, so it was really eye-opening for me. For many other law of attraction tutors or gurus, whatever you want to call it, talks about having this idea of what you want and write it down, or some people even say like write down like 300 times. And Bob Proctor in that case always says write down the thing of what you really want, write on the card and carry it with you and read as often as you can. But I didn't really come across the formula exactly what to write. This book gives you the formula. It should be similar to the following. By the first day of January, which is the exact date, I will have in my possession $50,000, which is the exact number, which will come to me in a various amount from time to time during the interim. In return for this money, I will give the most efficient service of which I am capable, rendering the fullest possible quantity and the best possible quality of service in the capacity of salesman of, and describe the service of merchandise you intend to sell. And this example was meant for salesman, and you can easily change it to your occupation. And this is the exact act that you are intend to do in return to get money. This book also says no one makes money unless you're working at a money factory. Everyone has to earn money. I believe that I will have this money in my possession. My faith is so strong. I can now see this money before my eyes. I can touch it with my hands. It is now awaiting transfer to me at the time and in the proportion that I deliver the service I intend to render in return for it, which describes the exact faith and kind of gives you more room to visualize how it's gonna be. I am awaiting a plan by which to accumulate this money, and I will follow that plan when it's received. Something like this instructions can be really helpful to the people who doesn't know what to do. And there is some questionnaires as well to check if you are on the right track or not. Do you complain often of feeling bad, and if so, what is the cause? Do you tolerate negative or discouraging influence which you can avoid? Are you curious over your personal appearance? If so, when and why? And it goes on about 4 pages. Not only has the main idea, it contains the example. You can check that people it mentioned in this book was all real, and that happened when every other chapter or every chapter finishes. There's like big bold quotes that gives you inspiration is found in doing, not merely in possessing. So when I finished this book, I wasn't really fully confident of how much I understood. I wasn't really confident that I would apply all the rules that's suggested in the book at the same time. It made me feel like this is a hard thing to do, but at the same time it kind of feels like catch me if you can kind of vibe, makes me want to conquer this book. I don't care how hard it will be, I'll do it. It kind of brought me that kind of mindset. Maybe that is good, rather than oh yeah, that was the good information. But I feel like if I had to read it again, I'll effing read it and I will find it. I have to live to find out what is this effing secret is. I intellectually understand what the secret is, mainly because Bob mentions it a lot of time throughout his whole 60-year career. Maybe because I expected too much, but I don't know. This book also says, like and many other books, you cannot expect too much. You cannot ever grasp the power of infinite intelligence, universe, God, whatever you call it. And I don't think I grasped that. Maybe I don't think I grasped that, but I kind of made me feel frustrated. I'm gonna be honest, I'm a little bit frustrated. If that was the author's intention of making me read this book again, and this book says almost every chapter to read this chapter again, read this book again, read this every day, to the point it kind of annoys you, like okay, I get it, I'll read it again, And I'm reading Science of Getting Rich, which is like a little bit more 100 pages of book and a little bit more thinner, and that book doesn't contain that much of examples or instructions or questionnaires or the affirmations. It only contains the main principle. And that book said, if you try to find the more information and in different perspective, it will cause confusion. It will only cause confusion. It's fine if you want to find out more after you reach the goal, but before you reach the goal and you just keep reading and finding and research the information before you get to the where you want to be, it will only cause confusion. Just believe it and do it. You can research it and you can read all the book you want once you reach that goal. And that kind of made sense, because when I first watched the You Were Born Rich seminar, I was really, really interested, and it opened the other door, or it opened my eyes of this world of self-improvement. And I was starting to rewatching the movie The Secret. I was reading Think and Grow Rich. I was listening to The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale when I wake up, and the other meditation by other people. It was just one big chaos to me. I was really happy that I got the idea of the main thing about getting what I want in my life, and I was too interested, I was too invested getting the information, the right information. I thought the more I read, the more I watch, if I get all that, I will get there faster. I will get there more in the right way. But doesn't matter how many principles you have, it can only cause you confusion, right? And you can do that, you can reach that, you can search that, you can study it after you get to the goal. But for now, choose one and study in that way. Just pick one and believe it and do it. I realized I was mixing like 10 different principles to do for every day, and I was trying to hold on all the perception of this one idea. And I knew intellectually this is really, really simple idea, and this should not be hard to practice, and it should not be really complex. And I was not really committed to one idea. I was trying to commit my power to commit to 10 different things, and I was not doing 100% in any of that principle. I realized that is not the most effective way to study and go around this. I kind of made my mind to do one or two things until I really get the result. I will read like one or two books max until it really fixed in my conscious mind or subconscious mind, and until I get the real result. And I realized that is the real way to go around it. That is why most seminars or most books says read this book over and over. Always thought about it as competition, right? They didn't want me to get the better knowledge, the better system. So they're holding me in that their own system because they could earn more money. But no, they all says losers compete and winners create. I had to understand that it's not about the quantity of how many books I read. I gotta stop trying to get everything and that will make me better. And I should start give the attention to the information. I can read hundreds of these books or hundreds of other videos, but it would not matter. And if you think this book is right, then go for it. Make up your belief and don't question it and don't find out what is wrong. If you try to find what is wrong, you will find it. Everything has wrong side and everything has right side. If you try to find what's wrong about it, you will find it. So I kind of made up my mind after reading this book to just believe it. So the main thing about this book is good. This book has a lot of information, examples, inspiration quotes, and tests, etc., etc. But it made me overwhelmed because I was consuming all the different knowledges from different perspectives. And I'm glad that I found that was why I was feeling confused. What to believe is not the matter. What to believe is the matter. Thank you for coming in today, and I'll keep you noted in this journey. Follow along. Bye.